everybody, David from Flash by V-Cyclonaut here. Been a little bit over a month since I made my last video. A couple reasons for that. One, I took an awesome vacation to Thailand, did a motorcycle trip, saw MotoGP, and just had a really nice couple weeks with my wife. That was awesome. But even what it took longer was I was running through all the other, I think 9 or 10 exhausts that I had tested with the stock intake, have now all been fully mapped out with the stage 2 DNA intake. Not going to post all the dyno runs and make all the videos, just takes too much time. It was way more important for me to just make that mapping available to my customers. Moving forward, every system that I test, and the next system is the M4, every system will be tested with the DNA stage intake and the stock air filter. So you can see kind of wintertime has settled in up here in the Pacific Northwest. I would say settled in, but it's starting. So my race bike is front end's torn off of it, forks are sent out for service. All my bikes, besides my development bikes, have some fuel stabilizer in them. And the garage is closed while I'm working because it's only like 40 degrees. Yay. But we still have enough nice days here and there that I'll be able to do my road testing and dyno testing with the M4 system. So moving on to that. System's all unpacked. This is a black coated system. So when the coating holds up, it looks really good. I like their new kind of patriotic flag, American-inspired emblem. This system has kind of like two mufflers, the muffler under the bike, and then the normal muffler that kind of just sticks out a little bit on the side. On the 21, it did do a reasonable job of keeping it quiet, but I did order the Q10 quiet insert with it so I can test power with that in and without, and came with instructions and an O2 extender. The O2 bung accepts both wide bands, and then they give an adapter in the bag for a narrow band. So system weighed in, I think it's at 11.5 pounds, which fairly light. So we'll get it bolted up, get some runs with it, and get you some numbers and my impression with bolting it on. These systems, what they did is they put a wire hanger to hold the flanges on so these weren't bouncing around and scratching everything or get lost. So I'll do my best to get this up there. And then whenever on a coated system, any kind of coating, your first start's really important. You want to start the bike, let it idle, get the system really fully up to temperature, then let it fully cool down before you really start hitting on it. This hardens the coating and makes it a little bit more durable. So here we go, stay tuned. The M4 exhaust is on still loose. I just want to point something out. So you really need to make sure that you keep this header loose enough that it has some wiggle room, because otherwise if you tighten that down and it's off a little bit, when you get back to this muffler, you probably will not have any gap here or not enough, and that's because you tightened the front of the exhaust instead of putting it all on loosely, finding your position where you want everything, and then we're going to tighten everything from the back of the bike forward. This has one of them stupid 1990 style muffler hangers that I just always love, but we'll work on that, get that on. We're probably about a half an hour from doing the first startup. So a tip from your Uncle V-Cyclonaut: once you take the time to put the rubber and mount it onto the hanger, rubber, when it's dry, doesn't slide very well on metal. So what ends up happening is you're trying to push that on here and the rubber just keeps getting pulled off, which took you a couple minutes to get on the hanger. So what I just did was sprayed it with a little bit of like Honda polish or WD-40 or anything to make the rubber a little slicker, and then it'll slide on. The other thing I did is the short bolt, or slightly shorter bolt, is the bolt that M4 provided to use there. These are one of the two bolts that come off of the stock exhaust system. And you can see it's just a little longer, and that made it just enough easier to push it through and get the nut started on it without cussing too much. So those couple little tips will probably save you a good 5-10 minutes of cussing and being upset. So hope that helps. So it's on. Again, besides that, the muffler hanger went on really easily. The black coating does look really good. I really like the looks of it. Fits pretty close, matches the lines. And so I'm gonna do the first start, let it idle up, warm up, and get you some videos of it on the dyno, some little bit of shots of me riding it on the road, and we'll get you some numbers with the stage 2 intake and the stock intake. first runs we're going to look at is the 24 MT09, my stock bike, on my dyno, what it made when I first got it versus what it's making now with no tuning and the M4 exhaust bolted up. And we got decent gains, mostly across the top. I do feel like my bike is putting out a couple more horsepower now. It's loosened up a bit, then the numbers seem consistently higher. But this is what we're going to use to look at. These runs, though, were done on the same day, a couple hours apart from each other. And you can see with the flash, we're really getting really nice gains over just the stock ECU, another almost 7 horsepower and 4 foot-pounds of torque, just better area under the curve, better holding on, you know the deal. And of course, this doesn't take into consideration how much better the bike is to ride, the better throttle response, smoother running, all that good stuff. Now let's compare the stock airbox tune versus the DNA Stage 2 lid with my flash. And like most of these setups we've seen, you lose horsepower and a half from 8,000 on up, but you gain more than that back in the mid-range. So I say the Stage 2 intake is a great mod for a street bike. Anything on the track, drag racing, road racing, anything that we're really worried about that power up top, then I would stick with the stock air filter and stock airbox and just remove that foam. That's by the intake on underneath the tank. I then tested with the Stage 2 lid M4 exhaust, dB killer in versus dB killer out, and it really made a nice difference in sound levels. If you were paying attention, it went from greater to 130 to around 114 decibels in the run. That's not bad sound levels at all, and it only costs us the horsepower. So that Q10 insert, good job M4 creating a efficient dB killer. This last dyno run shows basically all 3 setups, right? So the stock bike, M4 exhaust with the stock ECU and otherwise stock bike, and then with my flash, and you can just, it gives you just a really good picture of what you're getting when you combine the flash with the exhaust and how much better it is. That's almost 20 horsepower at that up above 10,000 RPMs compared to where I was with the stock bike. So that's kind of insane. I know it's only looking at one piece. I'm way bigger about area under curve, but it's just destroying it everywhere. So really, the 24 MT09 is really responding nice to tuning and exhaust mods. And that DNA Stage 2 intake, like I said, for me is great for a street bike. Remember, if you do go with this M4 exhaust, remember the first time you start it, let it get nice and hot, bake that coating in. It's held up really well, much better than one of the early versions I had for my 21. I think overall the exhaust just looks a little bit better than it did when it first came out for the 21. So thanks guys for watching. Remember to subscribe and like button for more motorcycle related content. I promise it won't be that so long before my next video. I'm going to do a little Thailand video next for you coming up. Next exhaust video I have the Arrow full system. I'll be getting that mounted up. Hopefully it won't take me more than a week or so to get that next video coming. So thanks a lot guys. Peace.